All right. So, wanted to go ahead and show you a little bit about how to interact with Substance Painter, but this time without ID maps. I know there was a video that had some ID maps, ID map technique. A nice fast way to do it, especially for your models. I feel like a lot of it doesn't really require ID maps. So I just grabbed a model just to experiment with. And this is adding on to the previous video, just with a different model. So here we have, as that intro to Substance pointed out, we have the paints, the materials, right? There are a lot more to this. I know I went through some of the layout, like with texture settings. I definitely prefer to have an ambient occlusion in my channels. So go ahead and hit that plus button. We'll select ambient occlusion and it'll be added to our channels. Channels are correlated to the channels in the properties tab. So if we actually put a material down, such as, let's say I want to use a sort of aluminum, and it'll populate on everything, which is fine. I'll probably add a black mask at some point. But now we have an ambient occlusion, or AO, channel available to us. So a lot of differences will occur. One being, when I click this, you may notice very subtle change in the way that the shadows are interacting. This is the height map I'm pressing now. And not seeing too much of a change, and that's due to the fact that the material actually just doesn't really require a whole lot of height, right? And that's actually why it's left off. And in this regard, I would probably advise baking an actual ambient occlusion versus just using this material's ambient occlusion, just because then you can actually get the actual crevices that are in here and such, right? Ambient occlusion captures those little shadows that are almost like when a ceiling connects to a wall. You have like a little bit of a crease, right? And it may be very dark in there. So it just kind of pre-renders that stuff, if that makes sense. So we'll keep that like that, and I'll actually show you another example. But before I put that material example on here, I want to show you how you can navigate these layers from the layer panel without having to have ID maps and the like. So if we go ahead and, well, we can do one of two things. I would actually just put the material right on there. And in this case, I'll probably just, I'm actually going to go to the store and we'll pick something out that's free to use. Go to free assets. Now I click this button here to get there. Under free assets, we'll just make sure that we're looking at surfaces here. Looks like we have an SOS call. Wow. Well, okay then. Interesting. So nothing, I guess that was just a national test. Interesting. Okay. One thing we can do as I reset my brain here is we can just look at the surfaces, because that threw me for a loop. Wow, everybody's phones are going off. Pretty annoying. Decals may be appropriate for this as well, but we're not going to get into that. We'll just stick to the surfaces and go from there. So we'll look into some papers here. So I'll go to free assets and just staying within the bounds here. So we have the Moon surface, stylized balloon. I'm just looking for a paper material. And once I find that, I'll start up again. Alright, so what I went ahead and did, I just actually went into the community asset store and I found this decent, sort of rusty, stylized, hand-painted material that I went ahead and downloaded by just clicking that. With the assets here, you can actually push them to Substance Painter, which is a lot more convenient. Unfortunately, you can't push the community assets. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll go into Substance Painter, and we'll go to File, Import Resources, Add Resources, go to our downloads, stylized, hand painted, etc. Open that up. This is actually a smart material, so this is interesting. A little bit different than what I was anticipating, but that's okay. I really like a regular material and not a smart material. So let me go ahead and just back up here. Let's use this red rust metal. Let's do that one. Just want to click on it, and lots of smart materials. I do not want that. So let's just go to the paper category. Wouldn't mind messing around with bloody wallpaper. I think that might be interesting. And we'll go from there. So if it happens to be a smart material again, then I'll actually just keep this as such, and I'll actually go into files. There we go, SBSAR. That is the file type we want. I'll open that up, and I'm going to define this as a base material and library, because I wanted my library forever. That's nice. And it's just basically saying, oh, here's your imported stuff, right? Just get rid of that. If you wanted to only show materials, you can go ahead and sort of select that little key there, and it'll drop down with your materials. There's my wallpaper. So in order to make things without the ID map, one way to do it is to simply have that sort of base material that you want, which would be the aluminum pure for us, and then just right on top of that, just plop the, well, whatever you've chosen. In this case, it's the that bloody wallpaper, right? However, I don't want it on all of the model, so I'm just gonna right-click on the actual square image of the material. Now it does work on the layers, but I just like to be safe. So add black mask, and that'll eliminate it. However, let's say you want to only select like actual UV shells. So in this case, I only want this middle portion. I don't want this to be to have wallpaper, bloody wallpaper, or the bottom, right? So let's fix that. And one way we can do that is to simply adjust these settings, which are the properties for our tool. And the tool that we selected is called Polygon Fill. Obviously you have the eraser and you have your brush, etc. And there are other options within these, but we'll keep it fairly simple here. So here's our UV shell. We'll go ahead and select that. And the white portion of this means opaque. The black portion means invisible. Or let's get rid of that, basically. It's just going to get rid of what you put down, in a sense, right? This makes things a lot easier. So in this regard, I only want this on the UV shells selected. I don't want it on here, or, or over here, right? Just on that side. lucky for us, we have a nice little seam here. Just it actually works out because we're working with something that is, well, it's probably wrapped around, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's a label, and they wrap those around. Sometimes they're a little crooked. Sometimes they don't line up perfectly, right? And that's perfectly acceptable, especially in this case. Now what we'll do is you can actually hold right click, and I would just select this one here, which is the quads, or these are quads, right? So we'll just do quads, and I want to get rid of some of the quads over here. I don't think it needs that wallpaper, especially this one here. So we'll just drag this all the way down so that we get the opposite result, and there you are. You can see that it is indeed having an effect. You can actually select and drag, and we can get that to do what we wish. Select and drag all the way around. Alternatively, if you don't want to be so slow, you can actually just drag right here on the UV map itself. And we'll do that as well here for the other side. And we'll continue this all the way around. It looks like it has a little bit of a misstep here, so we'll adjust that as well. This here. Good. Now, moving forward, this is actually a good place for a label. I actually don't mind that that's there. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll use it as a label, right? However, I don't need two of them, so let's just fill this in. There we go. And I'm not a huge fan of how this is actually labeling. It's in a weird spot, like kind of high up, right? Don't really need that. It's alright though. We'll go ahead and work with it just so we can play with additional materials. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to actually bring this down again, because just to fix what I was just talking about, let's just make it a bigger label, right? That'll fix it. Alternatively, let's say I want to have some rounded edges. Well, you can go ahead and actually paint those in. And if you, whoops, oh my. Let's go to, if you press B on the keyboard, you can flip to different sort of ways of seeing, so to speak. In this case, I just want the the actual material. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to that. Size of brush you can adjust up here, and I'm just going to I'll just do a sort of free form paint of the corners here. I guess they don't have to be round, but I'm going to make nice little angles here for these edges. I think we would benefit actually from some sharp, a larger size brush. It's okay if this is rough though. I kind of like that. The wallpaper is rough in itself. There we are. Good. All right. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll pop in here and we'll put something there to represent what would be a potential label of sorts. I'm just going to drop that down on top of it. This is like a sort of silicone coating, almost like a fake leather. We'll just add a black mask, and then we'll shape all of that out. I'm going to put it underneath the wallpaper so that the wallpaper goes on top of it, and I can actually use polygon fill for this stuff. There we go. And then I'll use the eraser tool. And notice how some of that is actually coming through. I want to just get rid of that. So I'm just going to probably go ahead and bring that size down a little bit. And I'll erase that away. I know it's not very noticeable, but it is there. It's just that it's, there we are, ever so slightly present. There we are. Nice. All right. And then perhaps we put a little tag on top of that. Let's see what happens. So we'll just put that under here. But I don't really like the size of it, right? So let's bring that down a little bit. One way to do that would be to, well, you could do it like this. I also need to rotate it. I'm just bringing up the scale in a uniform manner right here in the properties when I'm selecting that layer. Don't need the height here. I think we can keep it fairly flat. I think that 7 may be our answer. And then perhaps a little bit of offset here. Probably offset, just want to get it centered, and there we are. And then we can bring this maybe down to 6.5 and center again. Perhaps 6 was the answer, huh? I don't know. Oh wait, no, 8. Excuse me. There we go. Bring that there. Plop that over. And if I go up, I'll do 0.13. And I'll do a black mask so that I don't have all this stuff going on. And I'll use the paintbrush to reveal where I want and what I want. So your tag here, right? Good. If we select, now that is me on the black mask painting, right? You can't really do that on here. It's not really going to allow that. See how the tools kind of go away? You really need some kind of mask or some kind of other thing to mess around with that. Or just a straight up brush, right? Because you can do that. You can actually make a brush layer, right? Here we are, and click on that material. Go to custom mask input. Let's just see if we have a way to, oops. Okay. There's a scribble, custom mask input. Interesting. It's alright, we can actually just go ahead and I don't mind using that scribble. You would put your sort of image or your vector right here. I wonder if we actually have one. Just use that and see what happens. It's actually kind of interesting. But you would put your vector there. It could be anything. It could literally be your signature, right? Or we can like use this, which could be kind of funny. There you go. And we can then adjust certain properties within it, which is cool. Technical parameters, maybe I want it to be a little brighter, right? Can do that. I do want a little bit more of a leak on the drips. See how there's some drips here. I also want diffusion intensity to go up just a little bit, and maybe a lot. There you go. It basically makes it a little fuzzier. Let's go to 0.74. And then for the spray variant, I wouldn't mind having that kind of a little bit choppy, but or maybe a little cleaner. Let's just go with that. And we have more drips now too, which is cool. We can actually do a sort of adjust the drop size of these, so we could actually bump that up and see what that does for us. It doesn't look like too much. That's all right though. Leaks density. You can have more leaks if you wish, less leaks if you want, whatever you wish for the leaks. So that's something nice to kind of keep in mind as you press on, press forward. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go in here and just erase some stuff, because some stuff I just don't want, like this. Don't want that on there. Nope, don't want that. Now, as far as the actual can is concerned, and this needs to be adjusted again. I don't know why that went away. There you go. And actually, if you wanted to, you could bring this all the way down, and just to make sure it's nice and clean, you can just do something like that, and it'll make sure that you're nice and clean there. As for the wallpaper sort of decor, I want to notice how there's a nice little bump there on the map. The normal map is making it bumpy. It's kind of a nice thing, right? This seam, it's obvious that it's makes it obvious that it's, you know, something that was wrapped around, which is fine. We want that, but don't be afraid to add to that effect a little more. You know, perhaps we have a sort of copy of this one. So Control D, and we've, you know, copied that. Let's put it above there. We'll select the brush and we'll go ahead and drop that down a little bit. And for the stroke opacity, I'll go like this, and I'm just going to use this on top of the wallpaper as a means toward getting a little bit more out of the age of the wallpaper or decor. And I am going to put AO on for this. I want to also adjust the color of it. I didn't like the color. I think it just doesn't go well with what we're working with here. So I'm going to bring that all the way to there, and then I'll adjust the opacity, and we'll proceed forward. So I'll go ahead and select the silicone coat, copy there, and stroke opacity I'll drop down, and I'll just go right on top. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a little bit more depth, a little darker image, just to recognize that, hey, like, this is most certainly a sort of seam, and we could even dull that down a little bit. I think it's a little bit intense. Yeah, there we go. Okay, what's going on with that now? Oh, it's on top of it. Okay. I see. Okay, I copied that. Okay, and that's on top. Okay. So I actually have to erase this so that I get my stuff back here. I'm going to go ahead and bring that all the way up to 400 or 100, and I'll just do that. Now, you could do a similar thing with the, there we go, I like that better. You could do a similar thing with around the sort of plaque, if you will, for that insignia. As for the rest of the can, it doesn't really match the dirtiness I was going for. And also this material, I don't like that it's this color. I want it to be something different. I don't think it really fits. Something more like this. Yeah, like that is interesting. A little bit more of a metallic to it could be interesting as well. Let's go back to the aluminum, and we'll just start giving this a little bit more love here. I want a little rust. I feel like that's important. Let's go ahead and find something a little bumpy and rusty. I know we had something there that I just passed over, but large rust leaks. Let's do a very thin, fine rust and just see how. And actually, you know what you could do is. All right, so what we'll do is I was thinking about doing. Let's see if we could do a little bit of smart material stuff here. If I plop that right on top, you'll see that there are many things inside of this, which can be kind of nice, right? You can really do a lot with it. It's just a matter of making it work, and you want to. Whoops. You want to actually use masks a little bit more strategically here, and perhaps this is a more advanced thing I can teach one-on-one. I think that's what I'll do. As for the aluminum, I'm going to ditch this for now, and we are just going to see if we can find a material kind of like that, maybe. Yeah, there you go. That'll do us pretty good here. Because I want it to age the same way. I don't want it to be. Yeah, definitely not that one. We'll just undo that, and we'll undo that one because I'm starting to like this one here. Yeah, that's nice. It also shows the age, and it just does a good job at representing what I'm looking for here. So we'll go ahead and we'll. These smart materials are fun. But yeah, we'll use them in a similar manner. So we can do a black mask, right? And we can start to use the UV shell again for that. You'll notice that some of your items are a little bit strange looking. One being, oh, well, this one's light and this one's dark. It's just showing what the light is doing to the object in the scene. There's nothing really there that's like actually negatively affecting your scene there. And we might as well put this underneath everything here, so we can have proper layering. And I want to also give these guys some love, and if I could also get those as well, that would be great. I'm just gonna grab those, and you'll notice I switched to this sort of shell mode. All right. And you can continue to refine your models and make them the way you want using the layers and the black masks and the like. I hope this was helpful. If there is anything I can do to be more helpful, please point that out to me, and I'd be willing to do that. Reach out to me at office hours or wherever you'd like to, whether it's in Zoom or what have you, and we'll go from there. But ultimately, just make sure you have your channels on. Ensure that you're using layers to make your materials more interesting, and just have fun. That's all it takes. We'll see you later. Yep.